beep, beep, beep. Welcome back to the court of the Edijester. We'll be beginning the recruitment now for our next intake of warrior teachers, which will be June, with a June start. Oh, June is busting out all over, etc. Okay, very exciting. Buy me a coffee, do the thing. Here we go. What have I got for you today? Well, I was on the Twitter weeds the other morning, and I'm having a wander through the aisles, the Twitter aisles, looking at the threads, and I came across a cracking thread by somebody called Chris Boyd, who I now follow. I'm doing it now. I didn't follow him before, but he followed me. Called Chris Boyd, who's done a really interesting retrospective on what has caused the vast majority of the problems we find ourselves in today with the TQ plus nuttery and the LGBTQs, right? It's because he's looking at what happened with the Gender Recognition Act, because he says it is 20 years since the introduction of the UK 2004 Gender Recognition Act, and I'm taking my turn to reflect on the lobbying and debate surrounding this legislation that has contributed to significant and ongoing harm to women, girls, same-sex attracted people, and children. This is a thread. Hashtag repeal, hashtag repeal GRA, hashtag child safeguarding. So the link to it is in the Dubris, so you can go and have a look. I've asked him if he's going to blog it, but I don't think I've had a response. So, right, so then he goes on to say, this will be a critical review that will span many posts over many days and weeks, and I hope it can help the UK better understand the issues, the impacts, and what they can do to improve the situation. Feedback welcome. Right, so go and bookmark it so you can keep up with what Chris is going to take us through, because I think it's important that we all understand what a dog's dinner the act was in the first place, and how many people had said this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and it ended up happening, when I imagine Chris will go back to Hansard for his source to take a look and see exactly what happened. My point of entry, and he's then said in brackets, I may move back and forward in time depending on where the need takes me. Is the UK Home Office speech barks, report of the Interdepartmental Working Group on Transsexual People set up by the Home Secretary Jack Straw, Labour, in April 1999 and published in April 2000. So he's looking at this particular report. I intend to tackle, he says, one section at a time. UK Home Office report of the Interdepartmental Working Group on Transsexual People. Interesting, isn't it? The word transsexual. That was April 1999. The number of falsehoods, Chris continues, and manipulation in this tiny opening paragraph should astound you. He's then got a picture of the opening paragraph, introduction, transsexualism, the medical condition, which says, and he's got a picture for you to look at here, people with gender dysphoria or gender identity disorder live with a conviction that their physical anatomy is incompatible with their true gender role. They have an overwhelming desire to live and function in the opposite biological sex. Some people become aware of transsexualism as children, while others discover their feelings later in life. Once experienced, these feelings are unlikely to disappear. Right, so that's the introduction. That's the beginning. They're unlikely to disappear. Chris then goes on to analyse that, to take a look at it more closely, in which he says, gender dysphoria and gender identity disorder have been exposed as spurious diagnoses that hide the real issue. Absolutely true. They were only invented by the knicker fumblers and cross-dressers in order to get the insurance companies to pay for their titties. Gender is not defined to deliberately confuse it with sex, to advance gender identity in life and law. So they never define their terms from the start. Biological sex is used to begin the separation of real and legal sex to advance gender identity in life and law. Right from the start, 1999, well, in fact, earlier than this, when the bloody Beaumont Society got together. Retroactive application, here we go, of adult emotions and behaviour onto children is used to legitimise the spurious diagnosis of gender dysphoria and gender identity disorder. A sweeping and unevident statement of there being little chance of regret has been exposed as false. So get your head around this. That's the first paragraph. 1.1, the medical condition that doesn't exist. The conflation of gender and sex occurs in the very first paragraph of this report. This confusion will be a deliberate, constant, and fundamental feature of the advancement of gender identity in society and law. It exploits people's general understanding that the word gender was just a polite synonym for sex, used, I believe, by, what's her name? Justice Ginsburg, Bader, Meinhof, whatever her name is. Ginsburg, wasn't it? Justice Ginsburg, her. She was the one that started it. Use gender instead of sex, she said. So, it exploits this misunderstanding. They think it's a polite synonym for sex, allowing them to avoid embarrassment due to the term sex also being a verb. Have at it! The gender associated with gender dysphoria and gender identity means something very different, being the sex-based stereotypes of femininity and masculinity. Both of these diagnoses are weak in that they hijack natural child development and same-sex attracted people, reinforcing harmful stereotypes. This is the first paragraph. Transsexualism is at its core is the performing and reinforcing of stereotypes to alleviate body dysphoria. Note the use of biological sex. There is no type of sex yet the biological qualifier is used, which begins the separation of reality and law regarding sex. That's the unhinging of our basic categorization that's used there. A belief of gender identity is that someone's subjective feelings of the sex they are is more important than the objective reality of their sex. Transsexualism does not mean a person has changed sex, as this is impossible, and to think otherwise erodes the very purpose of objective characteristics protected and relied upon in law. Yet 24 years on, there are now many people arguing that they have changed biological sex. Botox Chucky does this, doesn't he? I'm an actual woman with a cervix. Well, it must be at your Majesty's secret cervix, because nobody could find it, could they? Botox. Old Windy Booey Base. So they argue that they are biologically the sex they say they become, and or that sex defined in law is just a subjective feeling recorded on a piece of paper, rather than objective and falsifiable reality. Laws in society built on the understanding that sex is real to the protection of women and girls, same-sex attracted people, and the safety of children have been undermined. The knee-jerk reaction to this is to try and define sex in law instead of at least defining gender, but ideally repealing bad law based on gender. Right? Go read the thread. That's just the first paragraph. There's going to be a thread to follow. Details, as usually in the Dubris, going to be a thread to follow. June, come be a water teacher. I'll see you later. Look, thanks for watching. I always appreciate it. And I don't say it often enough. Thank you to all of you that support me. Thank you very much indeed. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.